In autumn, across most of France, the massive forested areas are a great source of mushrooms and fungi. Here we've got the girole, beautiful little yellow fungus, very delicate, with a nice nutty flavour. They come in more than one type. This one is in amongst pine needles. We found masses of them here. In this particular case, we were walking in the woodland in the Cevennes.
That's the sheep feed again. Pied de mouton.
And these lovely ceps were found back in our own chestnut woodlands near to the Paradou in Aveyron.
Edible.
Yeah, that's a Boletus edulis. It's called a squirrel's bread in Dutch.
In this case, Rosie had joined me, so let's see what she was offering to the whole family situation. We weren't rearing our own meat, although I had my own chickens and a few pheasants. There was a little game around, but mostly it was nuts and fruits that we were harvesting locally. On the other hand, the river was providing all sorts of fish, and we got some nice zander. Let's have a look at how we prepare those. So let's take a walk now through the woodland and see if we can find a few champignons, a few girolles. And then after this we're going to go up into the woods and the mountains amongst the pine trees, another beautiful favourite spot of mine, and maybe find some woodland ceps as well. So, a 10-minute film just to show how lovely the walks are here for you if you want to come and paint or walk or enjoy the natural wildlife here. Well, here's one little girolle already. You can see here. I hope you find some more. But you see the fluting underneath here, and this yellow-orange colour, which is rather lovely. And that's what we're after. They're very, very tasty. So if we get enough of these, we'll have them for lunch today. Lovely, eh? Let's see what else we find. Wild garlic by the roadside. We're going to have a salad tonight, so these will be absolutely ideal. Just chopped up fine and put in with the salad dressing. Beautiful, eh? Getting a little bit late, not too woody, but these little bulbs will chop nicely and give such a lovely strong flavour. Won't take them all, we'll leave some to seed and grow for next year, but there'll be plenty here for what we want. Voila! Away amongst the grass, not many, but just a few little girolles. There we go, aren't they pretty? What we need is a basket full of these. We don't think we're going to find it today. Hardly enough for toast yet. A little trip out looking for girolles. Just enough for our tea tonight. In autumn it can be lovely here for the little woodland seps, the pine seps, and they're very nutty flavour.
Sheep feet again, pied de mouton.
Voilà. Wow. Is that edible?
Yeah, that's a Boletus edulis. It's called a squirrel's bread in Dutch.
Tout.
La casquette,
C'est super.
Par les poignées.
Par les poignées, pas le vider par terre.
Hein?
Le poser par terre, c'est tout.
Oui, oui. Qui c'est
Mais il faut être deux. Là, mais attendez. Hello. Quel est coloré?
Ça, c'est hard work.
Mais si, si.
Elle est pleine.
Mais si, il est plein, je parle de plein.
Ouh, là-dessus.
Là, oui. Mais si, là, derrière. Je tiendrai doucement derrière, là. Non, mais devant, plutôt en haut, là. Mets-le là. Tourne. Non, top. Faut mettre l'autre. Ah, ben tu me mets dessus. Non, ici. Hein? Non, Ah ouais, mais fais-nous une là. Non, non, je ne peux pas rentrer.
Oh putain, ma ne t'énerve pas ça.
Si, non, mais ça peut pas.
Oh, aïe, aïe.
No,
Je peux pas rentrer, tu vas les casser.
via che l'altro lo vai, che quando arrivo che là io ho più
La bouteille est née.
che la tutta io.
Oh! Ah bon. Et il y a un gilet à monde, c'est pas égalé.
Il est à moi celui-là.
Ah bon.
Ah, mon tricot.
Non che l'avevo visto del capo che tanto da quelle del morì.
Ah ouais. Ah oui.
Sì,
And the way they walk is very...
Il y a une tête de soupe non devait avoir la corrière, je ne l'ai pas fait.
per fare un dia preso. E io
Où est le touilleur? Attends, il faut le... Oui, il n'y a pas le touilleur là?
Oui. Allez, vas-y.
Il n'y a pas un truc en bois?
Mais non, mais sur le loin, le mec.
You'll be a Hercules in an hour, eh?
Et il n'y a pas besoin de filmer pendant une heure, hein, il pourra le faire.
Il y a vraiment marre, ben, normalement. Parce que le cheval pas ouvert dans un ski, mais... Vas-y. Le feu, là. Vas-y, braque tout. Les feux passent pas de toute façon. À l'abri, reculez le feu. Recule. Comment tu recules là-bas? Vas-y. Oui. On a qu'à faire Mais combien de sauts on a là? On n'a pas d'autres sauts? Il faut plusieurs sauts, on fait le chef. Oui, bon, allez.
il y en a un là-bas sur derrière, je vois.
Tu veux tourner toi?
Non, je peux pas tourner, il y a lui qui est beaucoup plus fort. Je vais porter, faire la...
Tu veux
faire la
vider
chaîne,
toi?
là. Pas vider, mais je vais donner à Gaston. Gaston, vous videz, vous?
Non, il faut donner. Ah, c'est moi. Oui.
Non, tu veux...
T'es quoi, 50? 12, poi tu tieni un dire da? 12, il y a tutti di 30. 12,
15.
13, 11.
Ah, bon. Voilà.
E come si fa che mi può venire qui?
Et tu passes par... Ah mais non, ils sont souvent là.
Ils sont partout, ils sont ces moineaux-là. Partout, ils sont.
Ils sont c'est comme ça.
Ah, moi je dis pas pareil.
Si tu dis 4 cm, c'est bon. Là, il y a 8 cm.
4 doigts.
Il n'y a pas plus. Il y a 5 doigts.
Oui, il y a 7.
Oui, ils sont pas là, les 5 doigts, oh.
Il y a 4 doigts.
Oui, là, attention, là.
Ah, oui, voilà, mais oui. Mais
alors,
il faudrait le caler là.
un gris che fa vedere le mani che tiene la bomba.
Ah, mais ça ira. Il faut une plèche là.
Mais il faut pas la faire ronde.
Knowing I was an artist, the local mairie approached me to see if I would assist them in painting the new sign for the new mairie.
Jérôme, mets-toi là.
Je sais pas lire.
Retournez-le.
Entre-coup.
Attachez Bernard avec la corde.
C'est plutôt là, je grimper au balcon pour voir les jeunes filles comme ça.
Moi, c'est la vérité là, tu vois.
As you can see, we've got a wonderful crop of apricots this year, so I thought I'd make a pie. So maybe you'd like to share the making of the pie with us. Okay, now we're going to prepare the apricots to make the pie. Now these are going to have to be skinned, and the skins are quite tough, so the easiest way I find of doing this is to make a small cross with a knife in the base of the apricot, plunge it into boiling water for a few minutes, and then take it straight out, put it into cold water for a few minutes, and the skins should easily rub off. The best way to do this is in small batches of maybe 6 to 8 apricots at a time. Okay, the skins are coming off quite nicely now. Once you've done that, then you can remove the scones and then put them aside while you make the pastry for the pie. Now I'm now going to make the short crust pastry. I've got a pound of plain flour here which I've sieved, and I've also included a pinch of salt. I'm now going to weigh the fat, and it's always half the quantity of fat to the amount of flour. So in this case I need 8 ounces of fat, and I'm going to use a mixture of butter and lard. The exact quantities aren't too important. It's a bit too much. Cut up fat into small pieces to put in the flour. It's important this is as cold as possible, and that your hands are cold if that's possible. Makes a better pastry. Okay. Right. Now we need to rub the fat into the flour. Now this can take a few minutes because the fat is cold and hard. Right, the fat has been rubbed into the flour and it now resembles breadcrumbs. So this is where we add the water, and it must be cold water, the colder the better. It's better to add it a little bit at a time because you don't want your dough to become too wet. Mix it around with a knife. Let it start to come together. A little bit more. If you keep testing with your fingers, you can tell that it's starting to firm up a bit. I think we're about there. And you can get your hands in properly and start gathering it into one piece. Put a little flour on your surface. In this case I've got a marble slab, which is very useful because it stays very cool. And just press it together. Turn it over. So there's a bit of flour on all the surfaces. Then that needs to go into the refrigerator in a plastic bag, or a piece of cling film will do, for about half an hour before we roll it and put the pie together. Ready? Okay, I've put a bit of flour on the board. I've chilled pastry for 30 minutes in the refrigerator, and now I'm ready to roll it out. Now I'm only going to need about 2/3 of it to actually line my pie dish. This I've just greased lightly so that the pie won't stick. So if we take about that much off, we'll reserve for the lid for later. Okay, right, with the floured rolling pin I'm going to roll this. Don't worry about the cracks, it will come together. So it will fit my pie dish, which I think is about 10 inches, 26 centimetres. So keep turning it, rolling it. Put a bit of more flour on if you think it's starting to stick a little. And what you need is the size when it is slightly bigger than the tin you're going to use, so we've got a little bit to go on that yet. Okay, I think we're about there. Right, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to roll my pastry back like that and put it into my pie dish. Just gradually, gently, just ease it in. Doesn't matter if it cracks because you can catch little bits if you need to do with pastry that's left over. Okay, then I'm just going to roll my rolling pin over the top and with a knife just take the excess from around the rim of the dish. Right, now we've got our pie dish lined, I'm going to put the fruit in. Okay, so all these apricots that I prepared earlier, I'm going to put in layers. But before that, just to make sure my pie doesn't get a soggy bottom, and you don't want a soggy bottom, do you? I'm going to put a little sprinkling of semolina just on the bottom. That will help absorb any of the juices and help the base to stay a little crisper. You just take the fruit, spread it on the bottom. Doesn't have to be too tidy. And when we've done that, we need a spoonful, about a dessert spoonful of caster sugar. Not too much because they're quite sweet, these apricots. And I'm not going to add any water to this pie either because there is a lot of juice and liquid in this fruit. And I don't want the fruit to go too soft. It needs to have a little bit of a bite left in it. Another layer. Just want the fruit just to be slightly proud of the pie dish. Then you get a nice dome top on the finished pie. And also don't forget that it will shrink down a little during the cooking. That's just about right. Last sprinkling of sugar. And we're going to put that to one side now while we make the top for our pie. Okay, right, now we've filled our pie dish, I'm going to roll out the pastry to make the top. The top just wants to be slightly bigger in diameter than the actual rim of the pie itself. So just as before, turning as we go. Right, okay, I've rolled the piece of pastry for the top, ready to put it on. Just before I do that, I'm just going to damp around the edges at the top of the pie with a little water, and this will mean that I'll be able to seal the two layers of pastry together so you don't get the juices escaping during the cooking time. Okay, here goes. Voila. Now then, to seal this, all I'm going to do is just take a finger and thumb and just press just together around the edges like this. And we'll trim the excess off in a minute. Right, let's lift this up. It's quite a bit heavier now. And again, with our knife, just take the excess off. Right. I'm just going to get a knife now and just quickly, not particularly neatly, it doesn't have to be exact, just go around the edges. You could do this with a fork if you wanted, it would make a prettier job, but this will suffice. And I'm also going to cut a couple of slits in the top, just like this, and that will let the steam escape. And the last thing I'm going to do is I have some beaten egg. I'm just using a pastry brush. I'm just going to wash the top of the pie with this, and this will help it brown and should give it a lovely golden colour. So we're now ready to bake it. I preheated the oven to 190 degrees, which is about gas mark 5, and this will go in for about 30 to 40 minutes until the top is nice and golden brown.